Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
Continuing where we left off yesterday, we looked at the user-based security group, which is unconstrained in nature, and that means if anyone is part of the security group, they will have tenant-wide access to view or to take a particular action. Yesterday, we created the security group. All yesterday, we created this. I'm just going to proxy in as Logan. I tried to create a user-based security group with the name of ELO Brick HR Administrator. When I was trying to put some positions into that, it was throwing me the same errors as yesterday. Can you share the name of an employee you are trying to add in here? Finance Ninja. That's the name of the profile. No is the name of the employee. If the account is not created, then you won't be able to add them. No, I have created that. Is the spellings correct? Yes, it's correct. Show him in there. But these are not employees. These are like positions. If you see, these are job profiles. Then I have done in another one Sarah Thompson, S-A-R-A Sarah Thompson. I have a Yellowstone. This is a no elo brick. Sarah H is not there, Sarah Thompson. She's not completely hired yet. Completely not hired in the sense, like she's not an employee yet. You see, there is a higher event on depending here. Let's just use that. I did not create the compensation package till now. Have you already created? No. I have not. What area is this employee hired? Is in Canada or the US? Oh, this is the plan. Now your employer is an employee, Sarah Thompson. Unless we give the compensation package. Till now, he or she is not an employee of the in one day. It's not about the compensation, it's about the process. The hire process was not. You see, it was initiated on 12th of October, but it was completed today. This process was still in progress. That is where Sarah was not completely hired. And this proposed compensation is a sub-process for this. There can be more sub-processes with hire, but since the parent process to complete parent process, you have to complete all the other processes. I'm trying to see if the system allows us to create the account. Still the same problem. Some of the other hidden rule that is not allowed to do that. Anyway, I have a few folks already. Let's see if we have anyone in the organization who is already hired. By any chance we have Magic Mike. This Magic Mike has an account. Yes, thank God. We use Magic Mike as an example. To start where we left off, we created the security group yesterday. And we added James Creek and someone added Norman Chan as well. What I'll do today is, since I have Magic Mike with me, I'll remove this and remove both of them and save it. There is no member in here. I'm doing it just to demo it to you guys that Magic Mike does not have any access to look at emergency contact for any other employee in the system. What I'll do is, I'll go to Magic Mike. There must be some difference. That's why we are able to do with the Magic Mike but not with iPhone 12 or Sarah Thompson, because Magic Mike account is created. That's the only difference for others. I'm not able to create a Workday account. If you notice, if you go to the security profile, an option comes from the account and then it goes away. I'm not able to get that option for others. For some reason, the day we created Magic Mic, it was, and we were able to create the account. Will we try to hire some other people and try to create the Workday account? Then we can see that it works for others or not. Like you need a Workday account, then only you can test it because else you won't be able to proxy in as anyone. For testing Mike's access, I have to proxy in as him to see what access he has. To proxy in as Magic, you need the Workday account, else you don't need it. Now I'm at Magic Mike, and let's say if I look at any other worker, like Sarah Thompson for example, Magic Mike should not be able to look at their emergency contact. They don't have a tab here. But if I proxy out and go back to my user base code that we created, and now if I add Magic Mike into this particular group, you should be able to look at the emergency contact. Why we need Workday account is because that we can populate the system users there. Else we won't be able to assign users into the group. You have Magic Mike here. Now if I proxy back in as him and see if he has access to emergency contact tab to view, only because we have only given the domain access. Start proxy. Let's say if I navigate to any other Thompson, there should be other Thompsons as well. Let's say there is Thompson. If I go to the contact information, I at least have the emergency contact tab, even though there is no tab like contact added, but I have that tab available. That means I have the view access to it. Now if I go back 1 second please. Now, if I look at my security group now, we have only given them the domain security policy permissions, not the business process. If we want Magic Mike to be able to initiate or add a change, emergency or add an emergency contact for any user in the system, we need to give this group business process access. And how do we do that? First thing is start proxy Magic Mike. Coming back to this visual, we created this user base group. We give it the domain access. That's where they are able to view information. Now we will give them business process access that they can take particular action on those. For that, we know that emergency contact is a business process. What we will do is, you can see contact. We look into the business process policy for it. I'm getting a change of weather again. We are at this business process change emergency contact. What we need to do is we need to look into the business process security policy. We'll go in the edit mode from the business process policy. You go in the edit mode. And since you only want the employer to initiate the process, we'll add our security group here. Who can start the business process? We'll add our flex group here. And then the next step is activate the changes. All now, we'll go back and just refresh our page here. You will notice some change that this security group now has the business process access also. Now they can initiate a change, emergency contact. And let's say if you have given approved or any other access that would be added here in the operations tab. Now if I go back to Magic Mike and proxy as him to test it out. Let's say if I navigate to again someone in this organization. And go to the contact go to emergency tab. You have an add button now for any other employee who already has an emergency contact like this one. This one already has. You have an edit button. A combination of your domain and business process gave you this access in real-time world. This is exactly the way your security access will also work. If you're part of an admin group, or I would not say, if you're part of an unconstrained group, you will have access and invite. Now the important thing to note is Magic Mike is able to change these or view this information for anyone in the organization. Even add the profile of our CEO, Steve Morgan. I don't know if you get the person, but Steve Morgan is a CEO in some organization. If I go to contact information, Magic Mike has access to their emergency contact as well, irrespective of which organization you are part of. You get access for everyone. But on a day-to-day basis, your unconstrained group is not what we do here. This was just for the purpose of understanding that you can do it in real world. Your responsibility would be to troubleshoot if someone has initiated emergency contact and it did not work the way you expected it to. In that case, your role comes in and you troubleshoot the business process, or you correct the business process, or you move the business process ahead. If someone is not able to initiate the process, you look into the security. You won't be initiating or viewing emergency contact for anyone. That could be just for your testing purpose in real world if you are a member of an unconstrained group. Your responsibility is to make sure that for whom you have set this up. Like for Magic Mike, is Magic Mike even able to view the emergency contact, or if he initiates it? Make sure that everything is running smoothly. Initiating, looking at the information is more of a responsibility of an HR partner, like someone at a supporting role. Which brings us to the next part of security, which is role-based group. Your security is defined on a role. What your role is and what area you will manage. I'll keep this tab open here. Now we'll work on this time. Let me just go out of this. Before I move to the role-based, any questions? Yes, Matthew. Rohan, still we are in tenant. I would like help from your side. Could you please click the inbox? I mean the pending actions from Logan McNeil. You have to proxy miss. I was filling in my supervisory organization with some roles. And it was throwing continuous error for the hire event telling that the due date has to be changed. And I got one more error. Too few close parentheses detected. Filter line 6 and report all workers. Something like that. Can you please click the inbox? Do you see hire Jordan Baker? Yes? I wasn't able to submit this hire. It is, it is throwing an error. Does this anything to do with how I undertook this process? Or is there anything else at the back end? Complete this. Let me take a screenshot of this. Detected filter lines. Why is it? She. She. There is some report which is if the error is correct. Then there's some report which is. But it should not interfere in the entire process. That is something I'm not clear. When I try to give correct task, then it is saying something about the business process. Can we come back to this later? Sure. And I just wanted to bring it to your notice. And then I also tried a few other things like, changing the language or the other things. It wasn't giving me any permission. Now I understood I need to change the business process. He has. If I have to do that, then I have to be in that user-based role. And then I have to assign the business process, and then I'll be able to do. I get that. I have a very common question. It might sound silly, but I'm sorry. Sorry to ask this, but I have to ask this because it's breaking my head. C0, when we have created level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1.1, 2.1. Initially we created like that and we started filling in positions and jobs. And then we started hiring people. In that flow, I missed out few things like in level 0, I even included CEO. CEO should not be in any level. He or she has to be in the top level, the alpha level. He should not be in any other supervisory organization. If I'm CEO has to be in a separate individual organization. I did that mistake. I tried to move the worker, but it wasn't allowing me. It said process definition error when I tried to move the worker. That is one thing. And the other thing is, after creating the supervisory organization and after filling in the positions, did we assign the role of manager to anyone in the talk? Rohan. I didn't do that. I missed it. It is like if you open my supervisory organization, it will show you 4 members, 5 members without a manager. Then the hierarchy will not. If you take a report or run a report, then it will not show a proper hierarchical structure. Understood. We'll tackle that as well at the end of the session, if that's with you. One thing you said that now you understand that you need a user-based security for the language change, but that is not it. It may or may not, because we have not covered the role-based security yet. Maybe your answer might change. Let me continue with the role-based. And once I finish that, we'll discuss all the queries that you have. Sure, we covered the user base. Sorry, anybody else has any question on the user base? Moving to the role-based. Now role-based groups. Let's say now we have given Magic Mike the access and unconstrained access. He can literally change emergency contact for anyone in the organization and, in fact, view as well. What if Magic Mike is an employer in US and he is only responsible to view or to change emergency contact for only the people in the US or only employees of certain organization? How do we restrict that? We don't want Magic Mike to have all the access throughout the tenant. We want his access to be restricted to a certain location or a certain organization or a combination of both. That can be achieved through role-based constraint groups. We're going to go ahead, create security group. We're going to pick up the option of the role-based constraint, though there is a type unconstrained as well, but very limited use cases. It is out of scope in this course. We're not going to focus on that. We'll focus on the role-based security group constraint. We'll give it a nice name. Flip. This would be char. Exa. Partner role. Role-based. Now over here a few new things we'll see. One is assignable role, which we'll come to that in a minute. If you see something here, there are 2 other tabs here. Both of them already have from default. We don't change that. We change them only to specific use cases. But let's discuss what these are. Access to organizations. Maybe once I discuss assignable role, this will make more sense. Now what we need an assignable role. Now, this assignable role is what we assign at different levels, whether at a location level, at an organization level, cost center level, company level. It could be at any type of organization. And to create this, we run a task called as maintain assignable role. Maintain assignable role. This is the task. You want to make a note, please do. This particular task does take a while. If I talk about the security group, the process remains the same. We create a security group. We add the security group to, we'll add it to these domains and business processes. But if I circle back on one of the initial, if you remember this visual on the hand side, your role-based is your constrained access. We restrict the access. I'll show you how it's more of a support role and responsibilities. If you compare it with an admin, like I shared just now, that an admin is the back-end person who troubleshoots, who maintains the configuration. But a support role is the one who has more of a view access. They do initiate or they do own the transaction data and not the data like the transactions. But if anything goes wrong with the transaction, then we are the one who jump in like admins. We restrict the access to either supervisory level or location. It can be any type of organization. We can restrict it to. Now the important point is we assign users. In case of role-based, we add users. If you remember, we created this group and then we added this user. Basically, the task was assign users, which allows us to add a member or a user. But in this case, we do not assign users within the group. You see, there is no option here where we can assign or add in a member. We use the assignable role. We link this or we put this group at multiple organizations or locations and then we assign it. Let's say if this would have been. Let me change it to FlexGun Recruiter. More relatable in the real world example. Let's say Magic Mike is a recruiter for us. He's assuming he's no longer an admin. I'll remove it from here. Let me do that. I think I'll proxy it in this might. Just following a different way to remove or add magic. I removed Mike from this group. He's no longer an admin anymore, assuming that now he is a recruiter. And we only want him to be recruiting in a certain area of the organization or for certain organizations within the company. Give me 1 second, yes? What we do is we create something called as assignable roles, and the creation is also very simple. Every role-based group will have an assignable role somewhere in this list. As a thumb of rule, we usually give the same name of the group as the assignable role, but we'll keep a smaller differences. We won't suffix it with the role base, just that you can see a difference. And then in this column, we have to share where you can use this role. We're going to put it either on the location. Let's say, if I put this at my location hierarchy for United States, then anyone hired in that hierarchy. Mike will be the recruiter for this. And let's say if I assign this at a supervisory level of lexicon level 1.18, anyone hired in that supervisory and below will get that. Mike will be the recruiter, and then few of the smaller checkboxes you have to enable, like if this is for a role-based group you always pick, is supporting. If this would have been for a role-based unconstrained, you would pick his leader. There are some descriptions which you can definitely go through, what that means. And then you always have to add who will be the administrator, who will be managing these groups. That is always your security administrator. This is very simple. If you do it once, it will be with you forever. And there's not much that you have to do, but you can definitely use these different use cases. But first try the basic one now. I'll click. It will take a while to save in. Now coming back to access to this organizations. Once we'll have our flex and recruiter assignable role added ready, we'll add it here and then we'll use that role. Now, keeping in mind that role will be assigned. Let's say if I go to a particular organization. Let's say I go to my flex gun locations. This is my location hierarchy. I can if you see in the roles. You see, all these assignable roles, these are all coming from this list that we have here. Coming back here. I'll go here. Flex Gun America. I'm doing it at a location hierarchy level. Go to the Roles tab. Assign roles. Now I don't know if it's saved yet. It's saved now. The first thing we'll do is we'll add it here. Flex Gun Recruiter. We'll save it. We'll come to this access in a minute. I have saved it now. I don't need this time anymore. I'll come back here. And I will see that. In my assignable role, if I look at Flex Gun, I have it, but it's empty like nobody is assigned to it. What I'll do is I'll add it here. Flex Gun Recruiter, and I'll give it the magic mark. I'll save it. Now, what this means is that anyone hired in this location hierarchy. This location is somewhere or the other tied to the different organizations. Anyone hired in this particular location. Magic Mike will be the recruiter for those. I should look for Flex. Magic. Now, but Magic Mike literally cannot do anything yet. Now before adding in any secure, because you have not given my mic, or I would not say mic. We have not given this group any security. Even if he is a designated recruiter, We cannot do anything about it. But let's first understand these two sites. Now that we have assigned this particular role at a location hierarchy, if I choose the first option, which applies to the current organization only, that means anyone hired in this top level only will get to use Mike as a recruit. If I use the second option, it says applies to current organization and unassigned subordinate. This means that anyone hired in the top level of that location plus anyone in the subordinate level will get this. The third option applies to current organization and all subordinates. This and the second one. Very thin difference is, in case of the third option, every organization or every subordinate which has a manager, they only will be getting Mike as a recruiter. In the second option, any subordinate, irrespective of whether they are a manager or they are inherited organizations, they will get to use Mike as a recruiter. If I think the last option applies to current organization and subordinate level, that means I can tell it until what level. Because once we pick this option, the last one, this, you see some subordinate level, it opens up and you can enter a value like 123. Which means that including the current organization, until what level down the chain, you can use this. Very simple understanding, but we keep it to the default always. We have not changed it ever, only in very specific cases. Coming to the access rights to multiple job workers. Since we are not using a matrix organization or using multiple jobs, this particular section is not relevant to us. But you still need to understand that changing it to any other option will have impacts. Now, it might not be possible to test those out in this tenant, but these are specific to position access. Whatever position Mike is sitting in, they will get to be using these options. We don't want to go into the detail of what each of these means. Just remember not to change them. If you have access for multiple job workers, just don't change it. Keep it to the default. Now the next part to finish up the assignment is to assign security. And how do we do that is, we'll keep this open. We'll keep this one also as open. And let's assign Mike also at a location level. We do have. I'm going to assign Mike at level 0. I'm going to do a plus sign. I'm going to assign Mike here as well. Now, what will happen if I assign Mike here? Anyone hired in the FlexQ organization and is part of any of the location from the FlexQ America location hierarchy will be able to use Mike. If someone is hired in, let's say in Europe, but in FlexCU organization, Mike will not be the designated recruiter for them. That is how it works. And if I navigate to any of the organizations below the chain, they inherit that. These role assignments also goes inherited. Rohan, then we give both. We gave location hierarchy as well as supervisory. Correct. Yes, then it should be applicable for the supervisory organization, irrespective of the location. No, see, if I would only give it to FlexQU as an organization, not at the location hierarchy, then anyone hide anywhere in FlexUN, whether it's US, India, JAP, anywhere, as long as we have the locations, Mike will be the designated recruiter. But if, now that I have assigned this particular role, and Mike is at the location level as well, then these works in a combination, in an A&D logic, not in OR logic. This is what the actual meaning of constraint means. Now, we created this group. You see, context type is constrained by role access. That is how we limit access. Now let's say, if we want someone else to be the recruiter for different locations, but at FlexQN level only, what we'll do is we'll assign another person as a recruiter at FlexQN level 0. And at the location level, we'll assign that different recruiter other than Mike. That Ariel is also covered. That is how it works. You are now, that to your question, that if you want to change the location, you have to give the business process access. Now the first thing you have to think is, do I need to give access to our tenant? If yes, then go with the user base. But if you want that access to be specific to a set of organization or a location or a combination of both, then you go with the role-based option. I'll do that. What I was showing here, that the roles also inherit. If you want to break the chain, let's say at FlexQU level, any more inherited ones, you have a sub one. Let's add FlexQU level 2 or FlexQU level 3. You don't want Mike anymore to be your recruiter, or you want someone to be taking care of that responsibility other than Mike. What you do is you simply, let's just foresee, Mike is still here. Mike is still inheriting. Now, if you want to break the chain, just go to the related actions, run our assigned roles and assign someone else other than Mike. And the chain will break and it will start a new chain for any other subordinates. Go here, you assign roles. Mike, let's say you give it to someone like James Brown or anyone. And that breaks the rhythm, not the rhythm that breaks the hierarchy chain. Any organizations below level 3 will have James Moray as their FlexQN recruiter. Don't know if we have any subordinates or we have a subordinate. Now, if I check it, you will see that the recruiter is. You see the inheritance. But again, Mike is not able to do anything yet because you have not given any security. Let's work with that. Now that we already know that we have to give them, and the case is the same, that they have to view and change emergency contacts. We're going to just a few things from there. From our original user-based security group. I'm going to go ahead and add this group into the domain. And in parallel, I'm going to try to get access to this as well. business process policy, and directly go in the edit mode from here. This is the domain. In the domain, we'll give our flex key unit group the access for it. I save it. And then, at the same time, we give the initiate access and the business process level. Once you're comfortable in updating these policies, consider yourself as an intermediate security person. Once you know which exact domain, which exact business process, and you're very fast in searching for those, consider somewhere between intermediate to advanced. Once you're able to troubleshoot security issues and get them to closure, then you are advanced. And again, you don't have to stretch on it, you don't have to hurry up on it. These all comes with practice. I'm going to run the activate pending security changes, some pending changes. Close the extra tabs. Now if I go back here, just refresh this, you would see that now we have this domain security and the business process. Now if I proxy in as Mike, Mike should be able to view and make changes to the emergency contact for anyone hired in FlexiUn and in the location that we have. I'm going to navigate to a location because that's easier to find. Oh, was trying to find someone because Magic Mike only has access. I FlexiUn Boston. We are still not on Logan with me. At least it should run. I look at the members. I have Magic Mouse and iPhone 12. Magic Mike should be able to look into those. People, let's just proxy in as Magic Mike now. If I look at iPhone 12, look at the contact information and I have that. I can add it. I can view it and do things, but if I navigate to someone else, let's say James or anyone outside, FlexiUn organization, I should not have that access on that. You see, I don't have that. This is what constraint means. If Mike would have been part of an unconstrained group, he would have access throughout the tenant. But since you have restricted it to an organization and in combination with the location, he's only able to see it from that particular set of users. Now, that is what this is our presentation. This is what your role base means. Now, if I go back after finishing all the security concept, like I said initially, until the time we understanding, we go from to left. Now, if I go from left to each of you, should be able to relate everything that we discuss. On the left of hand side, you have these types of organization, company cost center, location, or supervisor. The next part is users and roles. What we did is we used assignable roles as our driving factor and gave access to different users. Now we can assign that role at the company level, at the cost center level, at the location level, or a supervisory, or a combination of some of them. And then you have a user base type which is completely unconstrained. Now both the security group, if you come in the middle of the visual, which is security group's role based. And after this, everything works the same way. The only difference is that in case of role based, you use the assignable role to basically derive the security to restrict it. In case of user base, there is no restriction. It's all unconstrained. And by now you're already familiar with security policies, how to change them. And then that brings us to the last piece, which is that these security policies, what are they securing? Why are they called security policies? Because they are securing your domain from unregistered access, from unauthorized access, and same for the business process. This visual is everything that you need to learn about security. And that marks the end of our security chapter. Now the board is open up for any questions. Anything you want me to repeat? Methi, go ahead. Rohan, since he's a recruiter, I would like to give him certain staffing permissions. In that case, then I have to go to the functional area and then I have to give him permission only on staffing talent solutions. Now we did only emergency contact for our organization. In case you don't know what access like what Mike should be doing, but you don't know the exact names of what do we call it. Business processes or domains. In that case, what you have to do is run the view security for securable items task report and search for what you want them to give access. Whether it requires them a domain access or if they want to. If it's about transaction, then it would be a business process access. Rohan, sorry. One more question. We have created a supervisory organization with starting from level 0. Now if I want to create a new supervisory organization with definite names, say, for example, executive operations, global support, I can do it for the same company and the same cost center. And will I be able to use the same reorganization name, or I have to give a different reorganization name? What I've understood about the reorganization event is, if it's a similar type of events, then you can put them all in one reorganization. Like if you want to pull a report and see that this has all happened specific to a particular use case or a particular shift of organization, then it makes sense to create one reorganization event and you continue to use it. But if the user, let's say the scenario, is taking into consideration two different use cases or two different business cases, where one is in respect to a different business area and other is in respect to a different business areas, then it makes sense to use a different one. But Workday does not define any limitations or restrictions. You can continue to use one reorganization throughout, but that is again not a good practice. Rohan, if I'm in the same reorganization event, I'll be able to use the same compensation policies, and whatever I have created for the previous one, will I be able to use the same here? Change in organizations or reorganization does not necessarily have an impact on your security or any other events. But definitely if the incumbent or the people that you are transferring, if they have any in progress events. First of all, Workday may or may not allow you to change. In some cases, if let's say I have a compensation event in progress. Workday does not allow you to move the person here or there until that event is completed. There are certain checks that Workday also has that if you're moving elements here and there, then there should not be any in progress events or some in progress transactions. That does not let it happen. Leave aside the workers. I can use the profiles. I have job profile. I have created the job family groups. I have created all those things. I can use it in my new supervisory organization as well. But you don't when you create profiles, and these job families you cannot like. These are not tenants. These are tenant-wide. These are not organization-specific. You don't assign them to organizations, you just create them and then use it wherever they are needed. Changing organizations or moving worker does not have any impact. Even you will be able to use mine. I mean, that's what you're trying to say. If it's in the tenant, I can use it too. Until and unless you restrict it for a particular country or for a particular organization, then only I cannot use it anywhere. But in most cases we can use. Anyone can use it. Rohan, after all the questions, could you please look into the assigning manager for the supervisory organization? Yes, I'll definitely look into this. I'll just get another round of check if anyone has any questions. Going one, going twice. No questions. Yes, Marty, coming to your questions. Let me just start proxy as Logan. I think the hiring issue might still be there because it is there since morning. I mean for us since morning there for a while. I did let the support team know about it. I have not received any response yet and follow up again after the session. Other than the hire, you had some other issue. I was trying to move the workers from supervisory organization to subordinate with the same staffing model, but I wasn't able to do that. Can you help me? Azevo. And you have few people in here. Yes, I have 4 members in it. And you were trying to move which one? Except for CEO, I want to move CM, OCO, CIO, all of them except for Matty. Others need to be moved. Except for Matty Kalachalban. She is the CEO. Leaving that profile aside, the other 3 has to be moved. Move to where? Level 1, which has the same staffing model. Both are position management. And can you help me with the steps on how you initiated the transfer? No, I just did from the supervisory organization, only from the remote to task. From the organization level, you said, yes, let me open this. You went to the related actions. There was an option more workers. Oh, don't use that. It's not a good option. It should be somewhere in reorganization, I believe. No, this one. September 1st. Roshan cheaper than Geeta. You can move all of them. Do you want to move them, all of them, to a particular organization or different organizations? Level 1 है FACE level 1. I think we should just search with FACE first. FFK. Is it this one? That's the one, yes. It's done. When I tried doing it, because it was showing in progress and I was continuously seeing them in level 0 only. I didn't know. Oh no, it did not make any change. Move worker is not. I would say it's not used directly like we just did. In most cases, it's not considered a good practice. We put move workers as a sub-process and some on the other parent process. If you have to move Geeta, let's say to some other organization, you do a change job. Move workers is like a back-end fix for any transfer that did not happen the way. What you do is you go to the job change and you use the second option. And this is the exact way of how it should be done. Now you enter a few values here, like let's say you want to make this change effective this time. And in this case, you pick up a reason for a transfer. Should be some transfer option. Like here, like move to another manager, then you enter who will be the manager in level 1. I haven't assigned any manager, but you have to assign someone as a manager there, and once you have it, you can initiate this process because move workers is not something that because I was stuck with this for almost an hour. My problem here is Rohan. I don't have specific department, wise members in each and every org. I would like to assign a manager that it will fall in place. For that, I have noticed in all your orgs you have Logan McNeil as the manager, but for me I don't know why it was not assigned. See, what you need to do is do a little bit of cleanup. For that, just understand this visual and you should be good to go. Let's say you have a once. This opens up. This is, let's say, your top level. And all these are, let's say, this one is 5 orgs below. 1, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 organizations. And then below that, you have more. 2 more under each. Now, this is your top level. You have a manager assigned. For you to assign managers at this level, you need to hire people in this organization. Once you hire people in this organization, you will use those members to assign them as managers. For example, you have these 2 organizations. These 2 organizations can have managers if they are hired in one level up. Because the manager of this organization is a member of this level. One level up. If you understand this visual, I think you already did follow that and you should be able to solve your problem. First, get people hired. But for that, I'll check with the support team. What is happening? Why the hiring is not like? Hiring is working, but the account creation is not working. We need to fix that first. Once that is fixed, at least continue to hire people here. Because once you hire and then assign roles, but for them to be assigned, they don't need to be. I think you can still assign them. You don't need to work their account. You can go to the assigned roles and in the manager section, put the name of that manager. We have a multiple manager. Pick the one which has a capital M. Like, pick the one which looks like this manager. There are two. I'll see both. Both the details are looking alike. I mean, I can choose any of them. There are two managers with a capital M. I think JD also handles this issue. View security. It's a different one. I think it's the first one. I'll go to an organization. In Faker, level 0, I tried assigning Matty as the manager. I mean, is it showing? Not. There was a process. I was talking about process definition error. The business process is not set up correctly. That's fine. I should not use this option of more workers. We can cancel this event and I will get back my workers. You already have nothing changed. I go to the roles here. Let's see the manager. You see, I have assigned my Matty collection. Who's the one which has this description? Use the other one. Not a differentiate between them. Just keep that. It has a security groups for 10, while this one is only for 2 items. You don't need to use this. Use the other one. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.